Welcome to Year in Marvel, Episode 3. I'm Antonio Alcazar.
Yeah, boy, I'm Jason Technor, back at it again, speaking that thing I love so much, Marvel.
Okay, so we watched Episode 3 of WandaVision this week.
We did.
Let's go through it.
Yeah, let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
No need to bullshit. All right, so the episode starts, and our girl is snapped back into reality unsnapped from the original snap by the Hulk snap. She's in a hospital with an empty bed. She leaves that room, and everybody's freaking out throughout the hospital because, as we can guess, this is when everybody's come back from the snap.
Yeah, this is a serious look at the other side of the blip.
Of course.
In comparison to the funny one that we got with Spider-Man Far From Home.
Sure.
And
sure.
So, you saw Far From Home, right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
It was just funny because in that one, they all just kind of like blipped back.
Yeah.
And then this one, it was just like very like real.
Right. She finds out her mom died 3 years ago. That's the lady who was in Captain Marvel.
Maria Rambeau.
Thank you. She shows up at Sword, finds out her mom's old partner is now in charge of it after she had passed away. She finds out also that she's been grounded because her mom knew she would come back at some times and wanted plans to kind of put her on the side so she could get back into the normal swing of things before she took control of anything. They were asked to help out some feds because the feds were having some issues with some missing people. She shows up outside of a place called Westview. She meets up with the FBI guy from Ant-Man. Cops are waiting there, completely confused. They think they're from a place called Eastview. They send in a drone. The drone disappears. Monica goes to try to check out what's going on at the edge where there's the shimmer thing. She reaches in. She also disappears. Check over to a van full of specialists. One of the women being that woman that was the sidekick in Thor.
Darcy.
Yeah. I'm sure she has a whole backstory. They showed up at the sword containment area that we saw from the last episode. Thor girl starts researching, figures out that what's going on, and asks for an old TV. B-Man goes to find out what's going on. They figure out what we already know, that there's an old American sitcom going on and Wanda's in the middle of it. They start to figure out every person that's inside of the bubble and where they're missing from. I noticed the one person that they didn't figure out, though, was the lady that we all love, the neighbor. More of what they were doing while we were doing other stuff that we were doing that we've already seen. They see Monica in a scene. We start to see the Wanda stuff that we missed from last week where she freaks out and throws Monica through the screen back into reality. Wanda sees a dead version of Vision. She shakes back into what she knows as reality. We know she's really getting out of control at this point. Monica bumps out, reveals that it's all been Wanda. Enter Voodoo Child, minutes worth of credits.
Voodoo Child?
Yeah, that's the song at the end.
Oh.
Yeah. What a coincidence that we are talking. Side note, we were talking at the same time this month about two Vietnam movies, and then we hit Voodoo Child in WandaVision, which is like a hard Vietnam song. Sure. Like that was really like a song that many war movies about Vietnam kind of touched with that one and whatnot. One of my favorite songs of all time, actually. So that's the high point version of what's going on in this episode. So let's get into the actual intricate details.
So how did you feel about having an episode now, 4 episodes in, where we get to see outside of
Sure.
How did you feel about the break?
I'll let you take a guess on how I felt about this episode.
Oh, I don't know. Fuck. I mean, I really don't know. Did you like it?
I absolutely hated it.
Oh, you hated it? That's so wild. I'm surprised.
Okay, here's my thoughts right off the bat. You know me well enough at this point where you know that I absolutely hate television filler episodes, and this is the definition of a television filler
ridiculous.
episode.
No, you're ridiculous. You're fucking wild.
Okay.
I can't even believe that you think that.
Okay, so what an actual television filler episode is filling you in on details that don't really matter to the overall plot. They're just there for an episode to fill in between to get to the next episode that might actually matter. Wow. There's going to be probably another one of these episodes where it really doesn't matter, and by that I mean the issue with this episode overall from my standpoint is none of it matters. It doesn't really matter what these characters were doing while the other stuff was going on at the same time, because the show is WandaVision. The important parts are Wanda and obviously Vision, but mostly Wanda, what's going on with Wanda, and that's it. This felt not only like a filler episode, it felt like a B-team episode, and I've never had Marvel feel more like DC than this episode right here. Wow. This was like straight up something that you would have saw on CW Network, like with The Flash or something. It reminded me dead on of season 2 of The Flash, and the only difference is because DC kind of does a hard cut between their CW shows and their movies, the only difference here is this had the B team of all the movie characters that nobody gives a fuck about. The FBI guy, the lady that you knew her name from Thor. There was 3 characters that were bit parts in other movies that were on display in this episode, and it was just complete garbage to me. There was the only thing I liked about this episode.
You're going to have to defend all this stuff,
Yep,
right?
I'm going to. Individually, I have it all written down.
Okay.
The only thing I found interesting at all about this episode is the first few minutes, and they quickly abandoned it because I thought, oh, this is going to be so awesome because we're going to see what I went to in the first few minutes. They completely went to the right of, but what I thought they were going to do was do this awesome episode of people dealing with the Thanos/Hulk snap and how regular people that we have not seen had to deal with that situation. Because first of all, most people probably have no idea.
How would that be about WandaVision?
No, most people have no idea what actually happened. Like, because they're not, we've only seen these movies through like Thor and through Captain America, through Iron Man. Me or you in the Marvel universe have no idea why our friends just disappeared and why then they came back a few years later. I mean, I'm sure it was in the news later on, like, 50% of the population has disappeared, and that would be known, but for anybody snapping back to reality, it'd be a holy what the fuck happened type of situation. And I thought they were going to deal with how people had to deal with that. And then Sword, I expected Sword to kind of be like, this situation was so fucking out of hand, almost like I don't know. Have you seen the movie Suicide Squad?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, so Suicide Squad. The whole point of Wanda's team in that was because of what happened with Superman and how Superman fighting the Kryptonians like almost destroyed Metropolis and buried all these. So I thought that was going to kind of be what their Sword's mission was. Like, we have to do everything we can to not allow something like this crazy type of shit to happen again. And then it quickly just went into, oh, no, we're going to just deal with what we were dealing with on the sign. And, oh, guess what? Wanda's the one behind all this. We all know this already. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that you've got a really weird... I don't know if it's that you went into it with a strange expectation, or if you were just looking, waiting for something to come up where you could be like, yeah, I hate this. Mm-hmm. But this episode was... it was necessary, especially after episode 3. So episode 3, both of our biggest complaints was that it was too much of the hokey Brady Bunch shit and not enough of the stuff that was happening. And we both at the end of that episode said, I can't wait till we are seeing more of the stuff that's happening at the end and less of the Brady Bunch shit.
Yeah, I agree completely with you. The problem is I don't want to see what was happening while this was happening. I want to see
hold on.
Go ahead.
This episode, what it's doing is it's reminding you, and it's giving you a full episode of the actual MCU again. Mm-hmm. So, the things that I liked about the first 3 episodes were the MCU things. The things that were not in that crazy setting that they were setting up, because that crazy setting was it was the mystery. It was the things set up by Wanda. Well, we know some of what's happening now, sure, but we do know a bunch.
We can come to conclusions.
Okay, well, we'll see
what I would say.
We'll see what's going on with the other stuff, and I'll bring some of that other stuff up later. But the thing that I like about this episode was that it was a full episode of.
Wait, before we go further. So you liked this episode?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So this episode again was the MCU proper. It wasn't the silly stuff. It wasn't the ooh, what's happening. It wasn't the cool, marketable. This is gonna be different. This is now the real MCU again. Mm-hmm. You're being shown the organization.
No, you're absolutely right, because it even had the terrible MCU style jokes that I fucking hate.
Sure.
And it had those.
And so Monica Rambeau's character, who was shown now, finally explained in a way that's like, okay, this is who she is in the real world. Johnny Woo and Darcy, both of those characters are.
I wish through the magic of microphones, you could have saw my cringing face when he named both of those fucking two characters.
Okay, so both of those characters are fun characters in their movies. And, like, you liked Ant-Man 2, you didn't really like Ant-Man 1, and you didn't like the Thor movies, but I liked the Thor movies in Ant-Man. And those are cool characters. Those are fun characters in those movies. You know, they're a part of the MCU.
Sure.
The
Jane is an interesting character.
I didn't say that Darcy was
Darcy's
interesting.
not.
I didn't say she was interesting.
Oh, of course.
I said that she was a fun character, and she continues to be one in the show. In fact, I liked watching them be a part of this like Swords organization. It was cool, like seeing how consistently they've written those characters. They were the same. They were making the same kind of jokes. They had the same like vibe to them. They weren't like shoehorned in here. They were written
This is the definition of shoehorning a character in.
You
You have no reason for these two characters to be part of this situation right here. They were shoehorned in because they've been in other things. This is the same complaint I have about Star Wars all the time, where characters have to be in it that were in other things. It doesn't need to be connected. That's where you create other characters.
There are a lot of characters that were created for this.
Okay.
Right? Like there's mostly everyone you don't know. There's Wanda and Vision, you know them.
Yes.
And there's the police officer and the astrophysicist, you know them. Apart from that, you don't know anybody.
Sure, but I mean, only the people from S.W.O.R.D. are going to matter in the long run.
Okay, but if you're following the internal consistency of this universe, I mean, Darcy has been a part of now a lot of extra dimensional situations.
Well, part of one extra dimensional situation, Thor.
2 times. The one where he first came down, and then she was a part of the convergence thing. And so, like, Johnny Woo's character, okay, yeah, he's less tied. You know, like he was like dealing with Ant-Man in California. So yeah, why is he in New Jersey? That one was a little bit more of a shoehorn. But I liked seeing recurring characters. I'm a big fan of the recurring characters.
Of course, because you love the universe. Though.
Exactly.
For anybody who's like indifferent to the universe, it's like these characters are just wastes of time.
Okay,
really.
but if anybody's indifferent to the universe, they're definitely going to have a different opinion on the show than I am.
Of course.
So, like, okay.
That's why the two of us do this show together, because we are those two representations of people.
And also, what I like about this show, or about this episode, was that I have a greater understanding of what's actually happening. I have a better understanding of who's real, who's not real, who's trying to figure it out, and who's not. All of those things, like when you were saying they didn't have to be shown, it's a really like weird kind of mentality to have, because none of this has to be shown. They're just giving you greater context, which I loved. I liked having an episode of greater context.
It's hand-holding. That's what it really feels like. It feels like a hand-holding situation, because you're like...
There are still a ton of stuff that you don't know.
What?
Like the neighbor that I thought was like the bad guy for a little while. Like here in this episode, we found out none of those people are sword agents. All the people that you and I thought that were sword agents,
right? They're just random. They were random people that were sucked into. They're
definitely not random. I don't think that neighbor lady with the scythe on her ring is going to be a random person, and I don't think that Dottie is going to be a random person either. I think that those people.
We saw that. Did you? Did you watch once or twice? Let me ask.
I watched it twice.
Okay, so on the second watch, I slow mode and stopped every single person so I could read their background and stuff like that. Yeah. And it explained like where they came from, who they were before they were in this universe, and like the times they showed up in this universe.
They know who they are. They know that they're not a part of that world.
Yeah.
And I want to know what's up. I want to know why they're playing along. I want to know all
because Wanda controls everything. And
no.
I mean, this
is, you know what you're doing right now? This is more speculation. And I'm glad to hear it. I can't wait to hear it.
It's me being able to put 2 and 2 together, because I don't need my handheld.
Okay.
I can guarantee
I mean, we're about to find out next week.
I can guarantee
we're in a couple of days.
All I have to do is put together what I saw in this episode and what I saw in the last episode. Because then I went back to watch the last episode again and see the interaction between the two neighbors and Vision. And it is clear as day to me that these people are trapped in here and they have to play along with this thing because Wanda is unstable. We know Wanda's unstable.
So you don't think that the director of S.W.O.R.D. is going to be a bad guy?
No, not at all.
Okay. And you don't think that there's like...
I think
you think for real, right? that Wanda's doing this.
I think not only is Wanda doing
Wanda's
this,
not doing this.
but they're leading it up to being like Wanda could be a villain.
No, at Wanda right now, for sure, absolutely is not creating this reality.
She is.
No, she's not.
100% for sure, because she's able to throw someone out of their reality when she wants to.
Yeah, she's definitely trapped in this reality.
I want to make sure you're putting nuts on the table. Wanda's not controlling this. I am putting nuts on the... One of us is going to be able to show up the other motherfucker in a couple days.
Of course.
Or not a couple days, probably a couple weeks, because they're not going to reveal everything for a couple weeks yet. They're going to do another filler episode, I'm almost certain.
Well, the next episode is probably going to go back to basics. It's going to go back to, like, inside Wanda's world. Hopefully it's half and half this time. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think hopefully it's half and half this time. They've just shown a lot of stuff from inside of Wanda's world.
Okay, so it's very hard for me to ever do these type of episodes correctly, and I think like you're looking for something to be angry about. I don't think that's the case, because here's the thing: I like to be swept up by Marvel. I like to go in with low expectations.
How did you not get swept up by this?
Because I thought I was very much turned off by a filler episode in an 8-episode 30-minute, and I definitely was like brought back to what I said last week. Like this all should be shorter. Because like
they're so short.
I mean,
it was like 28 minutes. Man.
I know, but then when
as soon
you
as
have
it was over, I was
those,
just like, Jesus Christ, man, give me more.
You have 8 of those together, creating this entire world. So, or this.
Also, have they released an actual episode number?
What do you mean?
Like, have they said how many episodes are going to be in this?
8 episodes.
They have said that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So, I want to compare this to some other shows that have done similar things to this.
Okay.
And I just bring this up because I hate bringing up this example.
Oh, boy.
Because it's not fair. I admit it's not fair. But my friend just watched this, and so we were talking about it, so I was brought back to that.
Okay.
Episode 5 of Chernobyl.
Okay.
Episode 5 of Chernobyl deals with what was going on in the other scenes that it was just like this.
Yeah, I got it.
It was very similar to this.
And it's been done before.
Yes, of course.
I've seen other shows do this too.
Those are like one of the Saw movies did it as well. I think Saw 4 like takes place during Saw 2 or whatever.
Or
too.
Saw 1
like,
or something.
Right, yeah, exactly that.
I do remember that. Yeah.
When it's done well, it's done phenomenally, and you feel great about it. I feel like you feel great about it.
I did.
Because
I did feel great about it.
But that doesn't matter because you like everything Marvel's ever done. I'm more.
It doesn't matter because I enjoyed it. Wow.
Well,
that's an interesting position to take.
There's no point in trying to like convince you of everything because you're gonna like it no matter what it is.
Okay.
But to like the average fan like myself, and I would call myself slightly more than an average fan because I've watched everything multiple times. You know, I'm watching the TV shows, everything else. You know, I'm into Marvel. I think fuck man, you hit me with that. So now I'm like fucking flustered here again. Reflustered. Okay, so why that works for Chernobyl or something of that nature is because we've come to care about Dyatlov, or not Dyatlov, he's the antagonist of it, but we want to know more of that. We want to know more of these characters right here, how they got to this situation where they allowed this to happen. And that's like the same thing the Saw movie did, and other movies give you more about those individual characters that we give a shit about and how they came to this portion. This show didn't do that. It gave us more of Monica, which we kind of care about Monica. You care about Monica much more than most of us care about Monica. But like for most of us, we're just like, okay, this is another character added to the universe. If this was like a more to deal with like Wanda. Why do I want to call her Scarlet Witch? Is it that? That's it. That is. Yeah, that's who she is. Yeah. Scarlet Witch. If this was more to do with Wanda before this happened, or a character that has been already established in the MCU that also
this just brought you back to the MCU, man. That's all this did. All this did was to bring you back to the fact that this is a show that's taking itself seriously. It's not just going to be the silly shit.
It definitely felt because you still had those silly fucking Marvel style jokes where she's
by silly shit I mean is the gimmick. What I'm saying,
meant one that's flat, not flat. And then there was a joke about chips, and I rolled my eyes at each time of these MCU jokes because I fucking hate these MCU jokes.
At MCU, don't put jokes in your shows.
Not stupid jokes.
Just keep it as dour and as serious as possible.
You know what? Ant-Man's another.
You liked Ant-Man 2 because it was funny.
And Ant-Man 2 No, remember I had the problems I did with Ant-Man 2. We talked about that because of the jokes went overboard.
Some jokes went overboard, but you thought it was really fun.
Ant-Man 2 is a good comparison because Ant-Man 2 takes place before we go back in time to deal with Ant-Man 2, and I enjoyed it because we kind of care about Ant-Man. I care more now about Ant-Man than I did beforehand. Nobody cares about Monica. Don't say I do, because I know you do. I don't care that you do. Nobody else cares about Monica. So I'm
the only person alive.
No, there's like 6 other people on Facebook.
No, I get you probably interact with more people like me about the MCU than people like you about the MCU.
Usually because I shit on them. But
that's what I'm saying. There are plenty of people that are enjoying this show.
Okay, to say that I'm not enjoying the show, it would be
It's
incorrect.
so funny for you to say this show is bad to people who don't care.
Said this episode.
Who gives a shit? People don't care about this show.
The
people who like the show are really having a good time with it.
This is a filler episode, and because you like it, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Game of Thrones had filler episodes. And people who liked Game of Thrones a lot.
Yeah, but the people who liked Game of Thrones a lot. No, hold on. But the people who liked Game of Thrones a lot could all agree when there were some bad episodes. We all universally agree that the 8th season was garbage. We loved it. Me and you fucking loved it.
Even season 4, which is one of the pinnacles of television, probably, in my opinion, the best season of a seasonal television I've ever watched. I haven't watched Breaking Bad, so I'm not going to touch on that. Sure. Whatever. So, but like season 4 even had 2 filler episodes in the center, and we could recognize they were filler episodes. That didn't mean that you had to love them or you had to hate them. We still enjoyed them because we were so engrossed in Game of Thrones, but they weren't like great television. That's how I would cut this one right here.
I don't understand your mentality here
because
with great
this is
television.
The same thing we had come up when we talked about the MCU in general.
Sure.
Because your like only metric of a television show is or movie is did I enjoy it or not?
Yeah.
I
don't understand the problem. I don't understand the need for any other metric. It's like you're just like, I enjoyed it, but it was bad. What?
Absolutely.
How does that make any sense?
The last Godzilla movie, perfect example. I loved the Godzilla fights, and that was cool.
It was a good movie.
And it was definitely not a good movie, though. That is fundamentally where we're different on this, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But there's no discussion point if it's just, I liked it too. I loved it.
No, you're just like, you take out, this is what you do. When you're watching a show, you take out this like spreadsheet of all of the things that have to be ticked for something to be considered good.
Yes.
And you were just like, it hit that, okay. Mathematically speaking, this passed my fucking test. That's such a dumb way to look at things.
Yes.
Just enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, say, I enjoyed it.
I can say that. Overall, I enjoy the show.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't mean I have to enjoy every episode.
Sure.
I mean, that's the thing.
But I enjoyed this episode.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But I didn't have my clipboard out with my checkboard.
Neither did I. I sat back and I watched it, and within like 10 minutes, I was like, oh, I don't like this episode. Like, especially as like they had to hammer across every single thing that we knew. And look, he had a rope. Oh, and it turned into a jump rope. Like, okay, I don't give a fuck. Like the beekeeper, cool. Beekeeper's there, beekeeper's gone. We already dealt with the beekeeper. The issue I have, and this is because it's Marvel and it's not higher end stuff, and that's perfectly fine. I can enjoy both. The idea that I can't look at something and go, well, that's bad, but I still enjoy it.
Sure.
Fucking that's how I feel about the Star Wars films. Like, I enjoy every Star Wars film.
And they're good to you, man.
They are fundamentally bad films other than 2 of them. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy them. That's what I like.
No.
It's like pizza, bro. No. There's no bad pizza. Even though it's shitty pizza, it's still fucking pizza.
Then it's not bad.
I disagree.
All right. Well, what are your predictions for next week, man? You think that that we're going to get another good episode? Or
So, I'm hoping we get back to good episodes again.
Okay.
And seriously speaking, I think I'm going to have one more that I'm going to be disappointed by.
You think this next one, or
yeah, I think episode 5 is going to be disappointing for me again.
Okay.
Episode 6 is going to start to build it back up. Episode 7 is going to be good, and episode 8 is going to be good. I feel like
so
that's
you think it's going to finish strong, though?
I do.
Like you
do.
still have.
I have hope that
it's
going to be interesting to me. Yeah. I'm very interested to see like actual important characters be weaved into the show rather than Nancy and Johnny.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
I don't know if it's going to happen or not either. I think it would be cool if you have. There's no reason not to dump somebody, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I know you're like, this is I absolutely felt like I was watching one of the CW Flash shows, or not Legends of Tomorrow, because it wasn't like kooky like Legends of Tomorrow, but it definitely felt like Flash. Not like Arrow, because Arrow takes itself way more seriously than this show does. But
have you ever seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? It had a very Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. vibe to it.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is very Flash.
It had this had.
Did you ever watch the Flash show?
No.
Okay, then you cannot.
I watched a couple of episodes of Arrow.
No. Flash is the most the best one that they did, and this feels just like a Flash episode. And I feel like anybody who watches both is going to go, it felt just like that.
Yeah, I would say that this felt like the best that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ever produced. Like this feels like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at its best.
Okay, but don't you feel like that should be better than that?
Well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at its best is really good.
It's ABC. We had this discussion before.
Yeah, you haven't seen it, right?
And it's no, I absolutely watched some of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And
some of the first couple of episodes.
No, and I watched like some of the Ghost Rider stuff, and like it's very much regular television. And when you're paying for a service,
I don't know.
Like Mandalorian was much better than anything Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, come on, bro. Stop.
Than anything? No.
Yeah,
the best Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, okay, so that's season 4 when they did Ghost Rider and then they did like this whole like alternate dimension in a robot reality kind of situation. Both that season from beginning to end was better than The Mandalorian.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not gonna dispute that silliness.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, that's
I also
it.
enjoy 60 Minutes.
We're done. We're done talking about this shit.
Maybe next week we'll be more in line with each other. But yeah, that's fine, man. I don't see there's any problem with disagreeing on some of this stuff because we disagreed on some of the MCU stuff before. There's going to be stuff that's universally good that we're both going to like. Then there's stuff that's going to be universally okay that you're going to enjoy a lot more than me. I mean, that's just how it's going to go.
I liked that this was back. This was the first time that I felt like I was watching new MCU.
I agree, and I think I liked the idea of that. I didn't like that it was just previously on. That's probably what my biggest problem was. I hate previously on.
I got you. All right. Okay. Well, everybody, I hope you like this episode. We will see you next week with a new episode. I promise that I'm trying to. We're trying to get better at posting at least a day beforehand.
Yeah.
These morning of posts have been a little rough, but this one should be out on Thursday. I hope you're listening to it. Have an awesome week. We will see you next week with the next one.
See you next week, boys.